Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. Please visit our website, cscatlanta.org, for a complete list of live and recorded events. If this is your first time participating, we invite you to complete a new attendee form to stay connected to all future programs.
Thank you everyone for joining us today for this cooking demo on delicious high fiber carbohydrates for health. This is a demo with Chef Ashley Van Cise. She does these demos for us every month, and we are so grateful for her doing this for us. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and let you get started.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Good to be here today. We are talking about high fiber carbohydrates. So I'm going to be highlighting 3 different awesome grains that have a lot of fiber in them. The first grain we're going to use is black rice. And then we're going to use quinoa as well as farro. So there's there's 2 different recipes I'm going to be working with today. And Emily, they have access to the recipes on the website?
Yes, and I can also share this recipe on the screen.
Okay, cool. So the first recipe I'm going to be working with today is called quinoa and black rice salad with avocado. So this recipe has a bit of a sort of like a Southwestern flavor to it. It uses black rice, which let me pour it out into a bowl and you can see what it looks like. It is dark in color, almost like a purple color. You can see the bag is purple, but when you pour it out, it looks like this. Let's see. Oh, there we go. And as it cooks, it gets even more like dark purple in color. It's described as sort of like the blueberry of grains because it has that dark color. That is also where the antioxidants are coming in. And that is why it's such an amazing grain because it's unlike brown rice or any of these other grains that we're cooking here because it does have that color and it's got such a high amount of antioxidants. It's anthocyanins, which is a specific amount or the specific type of antioxidant. So I've already started cooking the black rice here in this pot, and it has about, just about a minute more left of cooking. It requires about 30 minutes to cook, and you're going to cook it basically exactly like you would cook brown rice. It just takes a little bit less time than brown rice would. And so that's going on in this pot. I already started that. And then over here, I've already cooked the quinoa. And so if you've come to these classes before, you may have seen me cook quinoa. I went ahead and did it ahead of time. It's really simple. You're going to cook it exactly like pasta. So just pretend you're making some pasta. If you've never done it before, you're going to rinse the quinoa and then put it in a pot of boiling water. You don't even have to measure it. And then let it go for like 12 minutes. Drain. Okay, that's the timer for the black rice. So I'm going to turn that off. So you let it drain, and then there you have your quinoa. Turn this one off. Oops. Okay. I cooked it. To add a little extra flavor, I used a bay leaf in the cooking water with the quinoa, just to give it a little extra flavor. And now we're going to mix these 2 together. So we've got the quinoa going in. It has a bit of a nutty flavor, but you do want to make sure you take the step of rinsing it ahead of time. That is going to it's going to actually like get rid of this sort of soapy flavor that can come in with quinoa. Has anyone ever tasted that before? If you've tasted it, then you know. It's good to rinse it before you cook it. All right, so the black rice is going in. I'm not going to mix this because the black rice is kind of like black beans, or it has that dark color. So if I went ahead and mixed this, it would turn the whole thing black, which I'm just going to gently mix it at the end. So everything gets incorporated, but it doesn't turn black. All right, so I'm going to set this aside. And now we're going to work on the dressing part of the recipe. So in this, we're going to use garlic and cumin seeds and shallots. And we're going to saute those over here. So your recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That might sound like a lot for the dressing, but I mean for just sauteing something, but we're using it as like part of the dressing. So it's going to blend in all the flavors. So now let me see, we've got shallot. You guys know what shallots are? They're kind of like an onion. I've described them as sort of like a cross between an onion and garlic. They're really, really good. You can substitute a regular onion if you'd like. I just remove the top and the bottom, cut it in half lengthwise. That makes the peel easy to come off.
I'm glad that you said shallots are like garlic, because that's where you find them in the grocery store. I hunted forever one day trying to find shallots. I had no idea. I thought it was just going to be like with the onions, but yes, where the basil and garlic is where you can find shallots. Pro tip.
Yes, for sure. I know. Some of these, and also if you don't have a shallot and you're just cooking from what you have in your pantry, you can definitely substitute an onion. Okay, so I'm just mincing this, or rather, you know, just like a small dice. I like the shallot. It is like a mild onion flavor. It's not too strong. All right, so let's talk about fiber. I want to have a conversation about that because that is the whole reason why I chose these grains. They are all high in fiber, which means that they digest in the body slower. So think about other types of carbohydrates. Muffins, for example, those are high in carbohydrates, but they may lack fiber because maybe you've used like a white flour, they've got sugar, so they digest really quickly. But with these grains that naturally contain fiber, they are digesting a lot slower, so they're going to raise your blood sugar slower. They're going to keep you fuller longer, which is a really nice thing. Fiber does a lot of other things too. Can they type in the chat box what they think fiber does? Does anyone have any? If you can type in what you think fiber does, or just shout it out. What do you think fiber does and why do we need it? What are the benefits of having a diet high in fiber? And then we'll talk about that maybe towards the end, if you think of anything. All right, so I've got my shallots cut. And now I'm going to move on to the garlic. I'm getting all these things prepped ahead before I turn. This pan is not even turned on yet because I want to, this goes kind of fast once it starts cooking. And I don't want anything to get burned because then it's going to get a bitter flavor. The garlic cooks really fast. I'm also using cumin seeds instead of ground cumin. It's just another layer of flavor, and I really like the cumin seeds in this, but you can definitely substitute ground cumin. Let's see, in our recipe we have 2 teaspoons. I would just cut it in half and use 1 teaspoon if you're going to substitute ground cumin for cumin seeds. All right, so I'm just mincing the garlic.
Ashley, we did have one person say that fiber helps you use the restroom.
Yes, that is a that's very, very important, right?
Also, fiber helps digestion and bowel process.
Yes. Yes. So fiber is the main thing that you want to have for healthy gut bacteria. And this is coming up a lot in new research, the gut microbiome. And so, of course, yep, it helps you go to the bathroom, which is so important for getting rid of all of the toxins and the things that your body doesn't need. And gut microbiome, gut bacteria. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the oil here. on a low, medium low. Let's see. Let me move this pot out of the way. That was what we used to cook the black rice. Okay, so olive oil in the pan. We're going to start with the shallots. They can tolerate the most heat. Let's wait till it gets warm here. Okay. We're going to let these go for just a few minutes. And then we'll add the garlic and the cumin seeds. So the cumin seeds, you want to make sure, if you're using this to cook with in a recipe other than this one, always make sure you heat them up in some oil ahead of time. That is going to help release the most flavor and help them taste extra delicious. Otherwise, they don't have that flavor. Like, it's hard for that flavor to come out. All right, so just a few minutes here. Okay, so other than going to the bathroom, gut microbiome, lowering or keeping your blood sugar stable over a long period of time to reduce hunger. Can anybody else think of something for fiber? Benefits of fiber? Let us know if you think of anything. Okay, these are going very well here, so I'm going to go ahead and add the garlic. And the garlic and the cumin is what you want to be careful on. You don't want those to get burned. And I wish you guys were here to smell this, because it smells really good. I just love that, the smell of garlic cooking, onions cooking. So simple, but it's so good.
Ashley, we had somebody ask if fiber helps your metabolism.
Yeah, actually it can, because of that slow release of insulin. It's slowing down the release of insulin when you eat. It is helping your metabolism, and therefore that leads us to one of the other benefits, which is weight loss. So good for weight loss, just by simply keeping you fuller longer, increasing your metabolism. So good for weight loss. There is a guy, I love this book. It's called Fiber Fueled. And it's by a gastroenterologist. I've mentioned it in this class before just because I'm obsessed with this book, because it's like so inspiring in terms of like eating healthy, and it talks so much about the gut microbiome and fiber. And one of the things he emphasizes in that book is getting a variety of plants. Because not only do plants have fiber, and think about it, the things that we're cooking here today, this is a plant. The black rice is a plant. It comes from a plant. The quinoa comes from a plant. Of course, all of these fruits and vegetables, garlic, onions, cumin even comes from a plant. So we're increasing our variety of these plants to help diversify the microbes in our gut. And that could be fiber, but it could be something called prebiotics too. And that is so insanely good for your health. It helps with things like inflammation, obviously fighting cancer, weight loss, just you name a disease, even Alzheimer's, it helps with your body to just be healthy and strong. Okay, so those are done. I'm going to turn that off. Let's see. Set that up here so it can cool. It's still cooking right now while it's in the pan, because this pan is hot. So don't turn your back on it too long, especially if the pan is really hot. It can definitely burn from this point. Okay, so we're going to add this into our rice mixture, our black rice and quinoa mixture. Along with lemon juice, as well as some of these fresh herbs. Okay, don't mix it yet. Resist the urge. Move this way. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do the herbs. We've got cilantro. And we've got parsley. And we've got some green onion. I'm substituting this scallion, or also known as green onion, for the chives in this recipe because we're using green onion in the recipe that I'm going to cook next. So it just made it easier to do that. Okay, so about 1/4 cup of each one of these things. So I'm just going to do this rough chop over this whole thing. So I've got the cilantro here, the parsley here, the green onion here. We don't have to worry about, we've already washed this and dried it. We don't have to worry about taking any of these stems off. So I am literally just gonna, because we have so much of it, this is gonna be way faster just to kind of gather up the whole thing here. The stems on the parsley and the stems on the cilantro are just, they're so, you know, they taste fine. They taste great. So you don't have to worry about taking those off. And then this is just way, way faster. If you're wondering about drying herbs, it's very important to dry these herbs before you slice them, because otherwise they can have kind of a grassy taste. So one trick for that is, what I did today was just literally set them out for about 10 minutes or so before chopping. After they had been rinsed, set them out on like a, back here I have a towel. That'll help kind of absorb their water, or if you don't have the time for that, you can do a salad spinner to dry them off. Or some people, if you don't have a salad spinner, you can put a paper towel into a plastic bag and kind of swing it around to mimic the spin of a salad spinner. Okay, so that's all the herbs and the chives in there. Although I didn't use chives, I used green onion. All right, let's add the lemon juice.
Ashley, we have somebody asking about serving sizes and how much fiber is in servings. That's something.
Serving sizes, okay.
Oh, serving sizes, okay. So for the quinoa, we have 3 grams of fiber in about 1/4 cup. For the black rice, same, 3 grams of fiber in 1/4 cup. Same for both of these.
Any idea about calories?
In the whole thing? No, wait, I didn't calculate any of the calories for this. I mean, that's the nice thing about eating this way, is that everything is coming from a plant. So when you kind of switch over to eating that way for most of your meals, some of the calculating, it's nice to know the numbers, but some of the calculating doesn't even have to happen because your body is processing this stuff and using it in such a beneficial way. Like I said, fiber also helps you lose weight. So if you're combining that with other things in a lifestyle such as exercise, you're on it. You'll see, you'll have so much energy and you won't have to worry about like counting the calories. Okay, so that's the lemon, cilantro, parsley. We've got the green onion. We're going to add a little bit of black pepper as well as avocado to this. So in my mind, this is sort of like a meal on its own. It's definitely something that you can take, pack lunch, take with you to the office, even make ahead of time, have it ready to go. I just added a little more salt. So now I am going to actually mix this before I add the other things. So I just do a gentle, because it is still warm too. But you can eat this cold. All right, so think of this as a rice salad. All right, and then this is the part that you can make ahead. So do all of this ahead of time. If you're stirring and you're making ahead, you might want to wait till the rices and things cool down before you add these herbs. And then right before you eat, you can add the avocado. Because as you probably know, avocado turns brown. I'm going to show you what this looks like on a serving platter here. Let me get it a little closer. the avocado turns brown pretty quickly. So just cut that right before you're going to eat. So if you were serving it, this would be like more of a family style serving or party serving. So here is that. All right, we've got the avocado. I'm just going to slice. I've got 2 avocados here. Avocado is so good. It's very filling. It's got healthy fats. It also has fiber. It comes from a plant. One of the things Fiber Fueled book talks about is counting the number of plants. So in this recipe, let's count them. We have black rice, quinoa, bay leaf, which also comes from a plant. We have olive oil, shallot, garlic, cumin, lemon, cilantro, parsley, green onion, pepper, avocado, everything's a plant. So we have, what, 14 plants? So 14 points in this one recipe, which is pretty dang good. All right, so I'm just thinly slicing this while it's in the peel. Okay. One of these got a little bruised. One of these avocados has a little brown spot on it. That's all right. Okay, here, I can use this to scoop it.
Anyone has any tips on how to keep an avocado right for more than 10 minutes? Please let us know.
Whoops. You get the idea here. I mean, I'm no expert on presentation, but you just want to, I don't know, I feel like this makes it so much more delicious when you look at something and you're like, ooh, or you smell it and you're like, that smells really good. So just a little avocado. You can use your imagination on how to present it or not. Even presenting, I don't know, it's kind of fancy. Present for, even if you live alone, presenting for one can be kind of fun too. Okay, and then also your recipe suggests lemon wedges, which I think is kind of nice because the lemon really brings out the flavors of everything without having to add extra salt. So lemon wedges around the outside or something for extra flavor, or even just squeezing the lemon on right before you serve it is another idea. So let's see, let me get the seeds out here. And this is just like a natural dose of vitamin C, which we all need extra, right? Help prevent diseases. Okay, so that is, and you, I mean, here, I even have, you can add some extra herbs just along the top. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an expert in presentation, but that is the black rice quinoa salad. Does anyone have any questions on that one?
Carol says that looks heavenly. Does anybody else have any comments or questions about what you just saw? Ashley, somebody did ask if you use dark olive oil.
So let's talk about the olive oil. This is, it doesn't, not brand specific, but the way that I choose olive oil is, number one, buy the dark container, because when you're looking at olive oil in the aisles, some of the containers are just clear glass, and light is one of the things that degrades the quality of the olive oil. So looking for a container that's dark, like this container is green, that is going to help improve the quality of the olive oil, and that can like cut down on the number of olive oils in the aisle, because I know sometimes it's like crazy the variety that they have. So look for a dark container. Look for extra virgin olive oil. That's going to also tell you that it's really high quality. You're going to get all the health benefits in that. And the other thing you want to look for is first cold pressed. Try to get that word first in there, not just cold press, but first cold press. I know it's kind of like, it's super confusing. So dark bottle, extra virgin olive oil, that extra virgin, and then also first cold pressed. And that's going to tell you it's going to have like an amazing flavor, all the health benefits. And then when you're storing the olive oil at home, you want to make sure that you keep the lid on, because air is another thing that degrades the quality. And also you don't want to use it at too high of a temperature. So olive oil is best at like a medium temp max. If you're doing something at a higher temperature, you might want to consider using like avocado oil or an oil that's more stable at a high heat. Because if this smokes, it's not good in terms of health benefits. Go out the door, plus the flavor is sort of like a rancid type yuck flavor. Okay, so that's olive oil. Now we're going to switch over to the next recipe. And this recipe is got the flavors of Mediterranean. So it's sort of like a Mediterranean style tabbouleh salad, which if you've ever heard of that, that is a salad that has a lot of parsley in it. So we're using parsley in this, but we're also going to, instead of using bulgur, which is the type of grain that you typically find in tabbouleh, we're switching over and we're using a different type of grain called farro, just to switch it up and get a new, it kind of adds a nice new texture. So I'm going to turn on the heat of this pot, if I can, let's see, try it off. Let's try this burner. Okay. This is the pot we're going to cook the farro. And so this just has water and salt. I didn't measure the water. You're going to cook this exactly like you cook pasta, same as the quinoa. And so once it's done cooking, we just drain it, which makes it very easy. So when you go to the store to look for farro, you're going to, maybe you might see some different types. So what I look for, and it's a similar way that oats are when you buy it in the store. Like think of oatmeal. You've got instant oatmeal, rolled oats, steel cut oats. It's the same with farro. You've got something called semi-pearled farro, and they all have different cooking times. There's also farro that has like the whole grain intact. So this one that I'm using today cooks in 10 minutes because that's the only one I could find. But if you can find a farro that cooks in like 40 minutes, and sometimes you find them in like the bulk section, so that is like the number one most amazing one that's going to have the most fiber and it's going to digest the slowest. So sorry, I could only find the 10-minute farro today, but if you end up finding the 40-minute farro, that would be the one I would choose. Okay, so I've got about a cup of farro, but the good news is that it does only take 10 minutes. So if you're tight on time, this is definitely, it's still healthy. It's still got a ton of fiber. So no worries if it's the 10-minute. I'm going to set the timer here. 10 minutes, which is not a lot of time for a grain. It actually cooks for 10 minutes. It cooks slower. I'm sorry, it cooks faster than the quinoa, which is 12 minutes. And that's what I do. Like, you definitely do have to plan ahead a little bit when you're cooking. Obviously, when you're cooking from scratch, but also when you're cooking grains, because they do tend to take, especially the whole grains, tend to take a little bit of time to cook. Okay, so that's just at a simmer. Our timer is going. So I'm just going to let that hang out over there. And we are going to make the vinaigrette. So let me grab a bowl. We've got lemon juice in this. That is the flavor that you will find in tabbouleh salad, in like a traditional tabbouleh salad. So we have about 1/4 cup of farro. I'm sorry, of lemon juice, not farro. And definitely, I fresh squeezed this lemon juice. Definitely go for fresh lemon because you're going to get so much more flavor plus the health benefits versus buying like a lemon in a container or pre-squeezed lemon. And if you want to buy a whole bag of lemons, juice them all, freeze them in ice cube tray, then you can have like fresh lemon juice, pull it out whenever you need it from the freezer. It thaws really fast and the flavor is like exactly the same as if it wasn't frozen. Okay, so now we're going to do garlic. 1 clove of garlic minced. Same goes for garlic. Unless you know you do not have enough time to cut garlic, I highly recommend cutting your own garlic instead of buying it in the store pre-cut. So much more flavor and all the health benefits stay intact. So if you have a little extra, plan for a little extra time to mince your own garlic, that would be good. We've talked a lot about sharpening knives in this class. So one of the things that makes cooking so much easier and more fun is having a sharp knife. So if you're still thinking about getting your knives sharpened, I know we've talked about it 100 times, it's not too late. You can still go do that. Okay, honey is another ingredient in this dressing. And honey is a natural, it doesn't come from a plant actually, but it comes from nature. And it has some benefits of the plants that it came from. So when choosing honey, if you can get one from a farmer's market from your area, they have done studies on honey reducing allergies. So regularly eating honey from your area exposes you to the plants in your area, and it has been shown to reduce seasonal allergies. So that was about a tablespoon of honey. It's a much more natural form of sweetener than, say, like white sugar, and it has good flavor. Okay, and then we're going to do some salt. Let's see. As well as some fresh black pepper. And olive oil, just down here. Sorry, I keep bouncing back and forth. Okay. So this is where all the flavor is, a lot of the flavor is in our recipe for this. Just give it a quick mix. Okay, so now I'm going to start working on some of the vegetables in this. See how much time our Baro has about 5 minutes left. Okay, pretty simple dressing. If you're making salad dressings at home, you probably know there's 2 main things. There's an acid and an oil. The acid in this vinaigrette is lemon, but you could use, any type of vinegar that you have in your pantry, as well as a healthy oil. Olive oil is a good example. And you don't even really have to measure it. You can do it to taste. If you want to do half acid, half oil, if you want to increase the oil if the vinegar is too strong, a little bit of salt and pepper, and that is your vinaigrette. You do not need to do anything super fancy. Today we've added a little, to that vinaigrette, we added a little bit of garlic and honey, but it could be as simple as lemon and oil. Okay, so I have a cucumber here. I think I'm just going to use half of this. Cut it lengthwise. This is what do they call this? An English cucumber. It has very thin skin and it has very small seeds. So, and it's I don't know, it's nice and crunchy. It's got a good fresh flavor to it. I prefer this type of cucumber over I don't even know what they call it, just a regular cucumber that has the big seeds. So you don't have to worry about taking the seeds out, peeling the skin. Okay, so that is the cucumber. We're going to do some tomatoes. These are called Kumato tomatoes. They're sort of like a brownish color. I feel like for tomatoes from the store, they have a really good fresh flavor. Sometimes tomatoes from the grocery store, I don't know, they're just not the best, but these consistently have good flavor. So I'm just doing basically the same shape as the cucumber, just to keep it consistent, but you don't have to be so particular if you don't want to be. And your recipe calls for a mix of like this type, larger tomato, slicing tomato, and cherry tomatoes. But actually, I am just using these Kumatos. So you can change it up however you like. The nice thing about if you do have heirloom tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, you can get a variety of colors. So you can have yellow, orange, you know, these brownish red colored tomatoes. I grew some tomatoes this year in my garden, and one of the varieties was called Mr. Stripey. I don't know if you guys have ever grown Mr. Stripey, but he was like, well, he, just because he's Mr. But the tomato was like, it was like sort of a yellowish red stripe. It was really, really pretty. So if you can get a hold of something like that, I don't know, the color you're getting, know that with the color, you're getting different antioxidants. I don't know, but if anybody was at our last class when we talked about the rainbow, cooking with the rainbow, even with just the different colors, even though they're all tomatoes, the different colors of tomatoes have different varying amounts of antioxidants, or various types, I should say. Okay, so that looks like enough tomato. Now we're going to move on to the green onion. Your recipe says, what does your recipe say for green onion? Does it have green onion? Oh, okay, so it lists as scallions, 3 scallions. I have 2. We'll see how that goes.
So you're saying green onions and scallions are the same thing? Because I get confused.
Yeah. It is so confusing, right? Yes, green onions and scallions, same exact thing.
When they say scallions, does it mean just cut up the white ends? And they say green onions, it means just cut the green ends, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters, honestly. I use the whole thing. I just removed the little root. But like you'll see here, I'm just going to use the whole thing. The whole thing is edible. I mean, you can depending upon like if you did like a taste test and you tasted the green versus the white, you might find that the white is a little bit stronger in flavor of onion flavor, right. But it doesn't really matter in the salad because it's all getting mixed together. So I left off these. I'm not going to use these little pieces that were sort of browned at the end, but otherwise I just use the whole thing.
That's good to know because I feel like I always have a lot of waste with green onions.
Oh yeah, you can totally eat the whole thing. Okay, and then parsley is the last. My cutting board's getting kind of full here. I think I'm going to transfer some of this out to a bowl. It's always good to have a clear, nice open space for chopping. So if you do get a little full on your board, having some different like prep bowls to transfer things into is really, really nice. And this is all getting mixed in the end together, so it doesn't matter if you mix in this bowl. Okay. Parsley, we're going to do the same exact thing we did over at the other recipe. You just kind of gather it all up, start at the top, work your way down. Don't worry about taking it off the stem. If you've had a true tabbouleh salad, you may have noticed that the parsley is cut like really, really fine. I'm not really doing that here. I'm just sort of keeping it kind of big. You can totally decide. And for this, we're not using as much parsley as you would in a traditional tabbouleh salad. So we're using about a half a cup or so. Okay, the other thing that this recipe it has are walnuts, another great source of fat, healthy fat. So we're going to do about a half a cup of walnuts toasted in the oven. And that takes just about 5 minutes. So here I've got a sheet pan with some parchment paper just to make the cleanup really nice and easy. Maybe about a half a cup of these. In an oven about 350 degrees. So I've already got that preheated over here. I'm going to set a timer because I know I'm going to forget. Oh, that timer already went off too. Did you guys hear that? I didn't hear it either. Okay, so I'll turn that off. We'll drain that in a second. 5 minutes for the nuts. That really just helps bring out such a good, nice. You can skip it if you want to, but I don't know. I like to toast them. So let me drain this farro. Grab a clean strainer here. Remember, you're cooking this just like pasta, so strain off the extra liquid. All right, we'll just let that sit in there. Okay, let that cool. It's kind of nice if this is super hot, this grain is super hot in here, to let that cool a little bit. You could even pop it in the refrigerator, because while it's nice to absorb, actually I'll show you this. It is nice to absorb the dressing with a hot grain. All those flavors really almost like get sucked in like a sponge to the grain. So I will add this on, kind of stir that around. So as that's cooling, it's sort of absorbing the flavors of the dressing. But I think I'm going to wait until the nuts are done to add these vegetables in, because these vegetables here are best. They're, you know, cucumbers, tomatoes, scallions. Those are all nice to have raw, cold, fresh. You don't want those to cook and you'll have like soft cucumbers. All right, so this recipe is almost complete. Once the nuts come out, I'll spread it. Here, we can start it. So if you were going to cook this recipe a day ahead, or, you know, several days ahead, which I love. Right here? Okay. So I love cooking things in advance. Cooking from scratch takes time. When you're hungry, you're hungry. So you don't want to take the time to like do all this stuff just before lunch or just before dinner. So anyways, if you can pick a prep day to do some of this stuff, it makes your life so much easier. All right, so if you're making ahead, you would cook the farro, make the dressing, go ahead up to this point. You could even chop the veggies and just keep them in a separate container. Go ahead and toast your nuts, and then right before you pack your lunch or right before you eat, you're gonna, this actually has a lot of liquid, but that's okay. Because as this cools, it will absorb all of that. So just that's almost acting like your sauce. All of that extra liquid is the dressing. So probably plating it on this platter is not the most beautiful, but we're gonna go with it. And then I'll go ahead and top that in a second with, well, we have feta. You can leave the cheese out. This does not come from a plant. So this is basically like our only ingredient in this demo that doesn't come up from a plant, but so this doesn't have any fiber in it, but it has a lot of extra flavor. So we'll add that on in just a few minutes once these nuts come out. Did anyone else think of anything? Benefits of fiber? if you guys are interested at all in fiber, check out that book. It's called Fiber Fueled. It's by, the doctor's name is Will, something with a B. He has a very long last name and it starts with a B. It is a really, really good book.
We did have someone in the chat say that they are currently reading that book.
Oh, cool. I hope they like it. Tell us what you think if you want. It's really, I don't know, it made me think differently about eating plants. All right, let me check on these nuts over here.
Bolsewitz. It's what.
Bolsewitz. Yes, that's it. Thank you. Okay, so let's pretend this is cool. I would just kind of go over top. You can mix this into the grain too if you want to. Okay. We have our parsley. This is sort of layered, but you can mix it all together if you would like. Okay, that's our nut timer. I would say 5 to 7 minutes on the nuts. I think I am going to toss this together here in just a second. All right, where'd that, well, let me rinse the spoon off. After I read that Fiber Fueled book, that's when I decided that I was going to start ordering Fresh Harvest, which I think a couple people in the class have also tried. So Fresh Harvest is a local Atlanta company that delivers produce to your house from local farms. And I absolutely love the service because you're getting extra fresh seasonal vegetables. You get to customize your order and it gets delivered to your house, which makes it extra awesome. And so if you're interested in adding more plants, adding more fiber, more plants, check out Fresh Harvest. Did anyone on the call or anyone on the Zoom call today have any feedback on it if they tried it? I can't remember the names of the people that signed up. Let's see, I don't want to set this hot pan down. Okay, so these are the nuts. Sprinkle those over top. As well as the cheese. And there you have the tabbouleh farro salad. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Here, I'm going to move these center here so you can see them. Does anyone have any final thoughts or questions or comments?
They are saying it looks very good and it smells really good too.
It smells here.
Yeah.
I guess you can imagine the smell at your house.
Carol says she's jealous.
I know. I wish you guys. I need some help eating this stuff, you guys. I wish we were here.
Maybe we'll start our own daily harvest service. Just start shipping them out to everybody. Just kidding. Saying yummy, looks fantastic. Is anyone going to try this recipe at home or currently trying it?
Yeah, hopefully you'll check out black rice. Add that into your, a dish that you would typically use brown rice. I love the flavor of it, and you get the extra antioxidants. And then just overall, think about the foods that you're eating. Look at the number of plants that you're eating. Check also the types of carbohydrates. Make sure they have fiber. That's very important.
All All right. Well, if nobody has any questions, just saying very educational. Thank you, Ashley. Lots of thank yous in the chat box. Thank you all for being here today and for participating with us. Any closing thoughts? Anybody have anything to add?
There's a follow-up to this class, right? All about carbohydrates. Is that right, Emily?
Let me look. Our next topic will be segue September 8th, Powerhouse Plant Proteins and Fats.
And then the
I have a
dietitian for
question.
Northside.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, we are going to have our nutrition seminar next week on August 17th, and the topic is making sense of macronutrients, part 1, carbohydrates. So Kristen is going to be talking about carbs and getting those macronutrients from that as well. And again, that'll be on August 17th, next Tuesday at noon. If you guys would like to join, go to cscatlanta.org and you can register there. We also put the recipe for today's cooking demo on our website under nutrition. It'll be found at the bottom of the page for those of you that were asking for that. Do we have somebody?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's a ratio of carb and protein that you should look for.
Ooh, that'll be an awesome question for Kristen. I mean, it really varies on the person. If you're going like super general and you're looking at the US, like the guidelines for Americans, it's something like 50 to 60% of your diet should be carbohydrates. And the rest is like a split between protein and fat.
If you're looking at a box of, say, some kind of grain or something, is there something you should look for more than another? I mean, one is better than the other.
Okay. So like I'm looking at this bag of rice. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, on the nutrition facts panel, you're going to find total carbohydrates. And underneath of that, you're going to see fiber, which is included in that total. You're going to see total sugar, which is also included in the total of carbohydrates. And you might also see, this is a new one that's on some stuff, is in added sugars. So what I look for there is fiber. Number one, foremost, does it have any fiber in it? I also always look at the ingredients of whatever you're buying to make sure that you, number one, understand what everything in there is. It doesn't sound like a lab experiment with all these things that you can't pronounce. And also, you want it to be short. This obviously is just black rice, but you want to know what's in there. Have they added anything to it that I don't want to eat? So you're trying to look for the cleanest, like quality ingredients that you can find, as well as in terms of carbohydrates. I would focus in on the fiber, and you want to make sure, like this one has 3 grams of fiber. You just want to make sure that there is something there in terms of fiber.
Okay. I just didn't know if there was like a ratio, like 100 calories, 10 carbs, 5 fiber. I mean, if there's one ratio better than another to look for.
Not in my book, but
Okay.
Definitely ask if a follow-up class to this comes next week, where the dietitian, her name is Kristen.
Okay.
She is going to be she's going to be diving more into, carbs, and I'm sure would have some examples to give you and some more specifics on that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any more questions?
Well, we're just coming to eat with you. Where are you?
I know, right? We'll do a drive-by, and I'll just
Wait a
drop it in
minute.
your car.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I'm always wanting
Yeah.
somebody to cook, and here you are right there.
CSC does Uber Eats.
Right. Well, it'd be great if you could watch somebody cook your food, really. And she looks like, she cooks really good.
Yes, she does.
Thank you.
And just a reminder to everyone, we did record today's program, so we will have that posted up on our website within the next week or so. If you needed to look back for reference, we do record all of our programs and put them on our website, cscatlanta.org, so they are available for viewing later on. But thank you, Ashley, so much. That was a wonderful program, and thank you everyone who asked questions and interacted with us. We appreciate you being here today. And again, our next cooking demo will be on September 8th. The topic will be powerhouse plant proteins and fats, and you can look for information for registering that on our website, as well as you'll see that in our newsletter coming up in September. And again, Ashley mentioned that we do have our nutrition seminar next week, next Tuesday. And the topic will be making sense of macronutrients, part 1, carbohydrates, and that is with the registered dietitian, Kristen Kukulowski from Northside Hospital Cancer Institute. So let me know if you would like to register for that. Also, you can find the information on our website again. And thank you all for being here today.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. If you're interested in other live or recorded programs, please visit the online program tab of our website, cscatlanta.org, or follow us on Facebook. We'll be sharing additional information on upcoming programs.